Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Gemma Wood, who is the co-founder and the CEO of Cavanti, a SaaS company that focuses on Apex. Gemma, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Javed. Nice to finally meet you.
Likewise. So we were talking a little bit off camera about your travels in the world, originally from London, England, but you've been all over the US and now you're in Portugal.
I have, yeah. I can't stay still, apparently. Yeah, from London to all over the States. And then 4 years ago, I moved back to Europe and settled down in southern Portugal.
Ah, okay. So it seems like you're following the sun.
I do everywhere I go. It was Miami, it was California, and then Portugal. So yes, the sun is my. I can't be cold anymore.
All right. So, as you and focus on Apex, I just wanted to first of all find out, how did you become involved with Apex?
Well, by accident. I was originally an Oracle e-business suite consultant going way back. And I needed to build a small web application. And my skill set was primarily SQL, PL/SQL, forms, all the kind of standard Oracle app stuff. And I happened to be going through oracle.com and I was looking at products. And I thought, okay, what can I use that's not going to be too much of a learning curve for me? Is there anything out here? And I just stumbled across HTML-DB, obviously the former name for Oracle Apex. So I thought, oh, well, let's have a look at this. And at the time, it was probably 3.0, 3.1. And I installed it, took a look, thought, oh, this is perfect. It's PL/SQL based. What more could I want? So that was really how I first stumbled across it. And I built a couple of small apps, nothing particularly clever, very out of the box stuff. But I don't know, I just really jived with it. I just thought it was a great tool, even going back then.
Okay. So along the way, I think you probably developed many apps with Apex. Is there one that you want to share with us that you're really passionate about, or something you're very proud of?
I think it's got to be the core product of Cavanti, because that was probably the biggest Apex app I built. It was, as I say, the first couple were very much out of the box. I built Cavanti, which is a software as a service product, which is used by animal practitioners, primarily who are using alternative modalities such as chiropractics, acupuncture. Veterinarians use it. But that's probably like the core, that's the biggest, most complex app that I'm the most proud of. It's been adopted by kind of 400 and something customers throughout the world in 15 countries.
This is for, I remember briefly, this is relating, because I know you have a passion for horses. So you want to tell us just a little bit about that and how this kind of all ties in?
It was really an application and a business that came about by accident, again, like many things in my life. As I say, I was an Oracle Apps consultant. I've got to be honest, I was bored. And I thought, oh, I want to do something different. Perhaps it was a bit of a midlife crisis. So I decided to go and get certified to do horse massage. So I went and did this, and with it, I was quite surprised at the paperwork burden that went with it. You had to, between invoicing and reports to clients and reports to referring vets, and it was just very paper intensive. And obviously, given my background in terms of, from a technical perspective and re-engineering business processes, it just seemed the logical thing of, I have to make this simpler. I can't run around with a piece of paper all day. So I turned to Oracle Apex, and it was probably at the time version 4, I think. And I built kind of just a proof of concept really for Cavanti that I used to use myself, and I'd run around with it on an iPad. This was probably 7-8 years ago, I would say. So that was really the first as I say, I'd call it a proof of concept. I showed it to some other practitioners, to chiropractors, to vets, various different people, and everyone said, God, I want that. That's really missing in the market. So from there, there's a lady that I've known for some time. I was talking to her. She's also an animal practitioner, has kind of a similar background to me. I showed it to her. She loved it. And from there, we decided that it was a viable product for a business. Mm-hmm. So we then set about building it as a SaaS product.
Okay. So so in terms of a benefit to animal practitioners, you mentioned, so it prevents them having to do a lot of paperwork and stuff?
It basically enables them to record their findings. If they're working on, initially it was for horses, then it expanded, it's now dogs and various other animals that we have templates for. And say, for example, as an animal chiropractor is adjusting a dog or a horse, they can go through, enter their findings, and then they can then generate reports for the clients with diagrams of skeletons, and the appropriate vertebrae will be kind of colored in, and they can draw on it to indicate any other findings they want to indicate. And then obviously it also does invoicing and the ability to do cash management. So the idea was really to make animal practitioners paperless, and also giving them the ability to use in Oracle REST data services with it. It was giving people the ability to go and work in the field where they would have no internet connection, and be able to work, come back into with Wi-Fi connectivity, sync up, and reports and invoices and things will be sent out to customers electronically.
Great. So you probably developed many best practices along the way. For someone who's kind of new to Apex, is there one or two you'd like to share?
I think the first one has to be use it out of the box. Don't write custom code unless you really, really have to. I think it's got to be the first thing. You're always going to get use cases that are more complex and necessitate some code to be written, but start off with basics. Use Apex as it's intended, as a no-code, low-code platform. And for the exceptional use cases, you then increase the custom code level if you really need to. But start off and keep it no code, low code.
Okay. And anything to avoid, and you kind of alluded to that, I guess, in your comment about being out of the box, using it out of the box?
Anything to avoid? I wouldn't say so much to avoid. I think really the important thing, I think, as with any application that's built on top of Oracle, is obviously having a well thought out data model to start with. I think really that's the key, because at the end of the day, if the foundation's not solid, you can be the greatest Apex developer on the sun, but if you're building it on a poor foundation, you're never going to succeed. So I think data modeling to me is a very important skill that goes with Apex. Obviously, it has the ability to write SQL and write efficient SQL.
Okay. So I have one last question, which I'm dying to ask you, and that is, we've all kind of heard this, I don't know if you want to call it a cliche, but follow your passion or do your passion and the money will follow. Well, I've tried it many times in my life and I found the money never came, So it seems like you're one of the small minority of people out there who's followed her passion, and you've been able to make a business out of it. So is there any secrets or any insider tips you can share with us about that?
I wouldn't say that following my passion, the money came directly. I don't think that's fair, because to be honest, I was running around massaging horses. I really enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. I was living in the Bay Area at the time, and I was also like, I'm not really into this thing of being poor. I enjoy what I do, but I'm not exactly the money. Yeah, the money it was a little bit of a struggle. So going back into tech, and there's no doubt about it, building a building a company from scratch, a subscription-based company from scratch was not easy. It was not one of those things that we went live and we suddenly had hundreds of customers. It was a struggle on day one. There's no doubt about it. I think you've just got to be really, really committed to doing something like this, and you effectively have to sell your soul for a while, I think, to be successful.
All right. Well, Gemma, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Likewise, thank you very much for having me.